Ba-boom. I think we're live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tyler with Hooksets Are Free. Um, and welcome to this live unboxing that I'm going to do. I got some lures in. They're all Japanese lures from a retailer here in the US. There is a reason that I made this purchase, and I will tell you guys about it in just 1 minute. So I want to give people an opportunity to hop in here and hang out with me live while I do this unboxing. So I'm going to give people just a couple of minutes to get the notification and jump in to the stream. I am drinking a little bit of Evan Williams bourbon this evening. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday night or whenever it is if you're watching this on the replay. Hope you're having a good day. Have had a good week. Yeah. So let's just hang out for a second. I'll tell you kind of what motivated this purchase. So a new bait was released at ICAST this year, just a couple of weeks ago. And as you guys probably know, most lures that are released at ICAST every year do not become available to the general public for a couple of months at the very least. Sometimes it's unfortunate and it can take 6 months or more for these baits to become available. However, some of them are available immediately and some of them only take a few weeks or a few months to really hit the market and become available. So I was able to, after noticing Kevin Baxter, the bait man, getting his hands on these just a week or two ago. He had a special hookup. I decided to do a little bit of hunting online myself and find somewhere that had these in stock. And so, as I typically do, I like to save money when I'm buying tackle online. I like to use promo codes, get free shipping, do whatever I can. And I was able to do both by signing up for, a newsletter to save, I think, 10%, and then use a promo code after having spent, I want to say, $75 in order to get free shipping. So I was able to combine those codes and get this package here of some awesome topwater baits. There might be one in there that's not topwater, but they're all JDM lures, and I'm excited about them. I've got one of them already, just in one color, and saw that they had a couple of colors in stock that interest me. That bait tends to be out of stock most places, and unfortunately is out of stock at Discount Tackle at the moment. Typically, I would recommend that you buy a lot of your JDM lures, especially ones by Evergreen International, from Discount Tackle, because they offer those for a discount. So, however, these baits are either out of stock or not yet available from Discount Tackle, so I had to go elsewhere. I'm not going to mention exactly where I bought these just because, like I mentioned last night, they are a direct competitor of Discount Tackle. And I don't want to promote them for really any unnecessary reason. So we'll get into opening this in just 1 second. But what's up, Ron? What's up, Kyle? How are you guys doing tonight? Hope you are having a great Saturday. Thanks for joining last night, and thanks for jumping in again tonight. I might just do kind of a similar length stream, unless, of course, we're having really good conversation and you guys want to hang out longer than that. But I think, something in the ballpark of an hour is probably appropriate. So cheers. Hope you're well. Now I'm going to try and open this package without showing you guys the box. And if you really want to know where I got these, you can send me a direct message and I'll let you know if you're wanting to find these in stock. But again, I have no real affiliation with this retailer or any reason to promote them or mention why I picked them up at this place. I already explained to you, but I did not order these hooks, but interesting that they included them as just like a little freebie. So again, I did not order these hooks. These are Gamakatsu 4/0 Oceanic hooks. They almost look borderline saltwater, given the way that they are coated, which is kind of strange to me. It's a very heavy gauge hook, and given that O'Shaughnessy style bend, I'm not quite sure when and where I will use this hook. Again, I think it's more of a saltwater type of hook, and typically speaking, I would not keep this. I wouldn't purchase this, and I didn't, but they included 2 packs of them for no real reason. So whatever. I appreciate that they did that, but I wish they would have thrown in a different type of hook, because there are a million that I go out of my way to buy, especially from Gamakatsu and from Owner. But it is what it is. I'll take some free hooks. Kyle says, doing well. Did some fishing today. Killed it on the Bass Pro Senko in the green pumpkin chartreuse tip. Sweet, man. That's awesome. Yeah, the Bass Pro Senko, the Sticko, is a great bait. We talked about that just a couple streams ago. Is kind of one of my go-to stick style baits, and I carry these 3 colors in the 6-inch on me when I know that I'm going to be fishing a Senko or Senko style bait rather. So yeah, green pumpkin chartreuse tip. That's always a cool color. Not necessarily one that I go out of my way to purchase. I do usually carry a dye pen with me like this. And I've got a couple of these in my bags, in my tackle bag that I bring around with me. So this is a Spike It Dip and Glow marker that literally you can just color your baits. I'm sure you've seen this before, but I will just show you. Wow, it's already stinking like garlic. But if I took this 6-inch bait in, this color is like half watermelon red, half green pumpkin. And if I take the tip section and I go out of my way to color it a bit, it's going to add both scent and color to the bait. So I tend to color. Well, I don't even want to say that. I use this to color both soft plastics and hard baits. But one thing that you will notice if using these markers is that the color will show up a lot brighter once it gets soaked in the water. I mean, you can see it here on the camera, but it really comes out after a few moments and after the bait gets wet. So, of course, it's not going to be quite as bright as if you bought a bait that was literally just a chartreuse tip, because it's going to be pure chartreuse. But Ron, the family's doing pretty well. We had a good day, man. Thank you for asking. My daughters were well behaved. We've got a little bit of action going on at the house. My 5-year-old Brooklyn is starting school this week, so we're just trying to get her in the habit of waking up a little bit earlier and get prepped for spending entire days at school. She was in preschool 2 years ago, did not go to preschool last year due to COVID. We kept her home. So this will be her first year in school at kindergarten. And that's exciting for sure. But school starts officially on Thursday, but she's got a couple activities Monday through Wednesday in meeting her teacher and classmates and getting, acquainted with the school itself. And then our 3-year-old Sadie is potty training at the moment because she starts school preschool, her first year of preschool, the week after next. And so we're a little bit late on getting her fully potty trained, but we're in that moment right now. And today she did a good job. Only had a tiny little accident where she just peed a little bit in her underwear while she was getting onto the toilet. But otherwise, dropped a deuce and peed 4 or 5 times in the toilet. Is getting really good at that. So proud of her. And then, like I mentioned last night, our son is 5 months old today and has a tooth. His very first tooth is coming in. So he has been in quite a bit of pain and discomfort. So, he's kind of on Tylenol a couple times a day. He's, we're giving him some of that like grape flavored infant Tylenol stuff. So, it's kind of high action, we'll say. So let's start with the bait that is not top water and one that I don't have in my arsenal. And that's specifically the small 5-inch size of the Megabass Magdraft. I actually do have a lot of the Magdrafts in the 6-inch size. That is kind of my sweet spot, my go-to, one of my favorite swim baits, just period. In both the freestyle and the regular rigged version. So this is the rigged 5-inch version, which is quite a bit smaller. This thing weighs just 3/4 of an ounce, and this is a JDM color that is referred to as Chartreuse back. I will go ahead and try to pull this out of the package for you, just because I intend to fish it sooner than later. Sometimes I don't like damaging these packages because then you can't hang them up, but it's not the end of the world. I don't need to have it hung up. In fact, I'd prefer to be fishing it anyway. So what I do is when I'm not fishing these baits, I will put them back in this little clamshell package that they come in. Okay. So they come in this thing and the tails are protected. So I really appreciate that, like this design. And so when I stop fishing the bait, when I, cut it off of my rod, I will put it right back in this clamshell to protect the tail. And then that way you end up with a lot fewer twisted tails. Same goes for, the Megabass Dark Sleeper. They come in these same kind of little single clamshells. So obviously you guys are probably familiar with the Magdraft. Like I said, this is the 5-inch size, so quite a bit snackier in size than the 6-inch, which, as you can see, is quite a bit bigger in profile and overall weight. So I think this 5-inch size is really going to appeal to smallies, both from a size and color standpoint. And if you guys aren't already familiar with the Magdraft, it does have a magnet in the belly. So that single treble hook on the bottom will stick to the bottom. Now, as you fish this bait and cast it, it will come apart from the body. So one trick is to look at the hook itself, which pretty cool design. It's attached to a swivel, which is built into the harness of the bait. So you do have a swiveling hook right here. So fish have a lot less leverage once they're hooked. But this is, I forget who the maker of this hook is, but It is the type of treble hook where one of the points is in line. So you can go ahead and tuck that hook straight up into the bait and just have two of these exposed. Um, and that's how I prefer to fish it most of the time. So that way the hook doesn't come free quite as easily as if it's just magnetized and you've got the one hook point there. This thing does come free relatively easy. Now, the magnet on this 5-inch seems a little bit higher quality than what I typically experience on the 6-inch. So who knows? But I do like having the two hook points exposed as opposed to just the one. So anyway, I did pay full price. I want to say like 12 bucks on this bait. And I do find that it's worth it. Really like the Magdrafts for sure. Yeah, snackier. Is that what I said? That is what I meant. Definitely more of a snack size presentation when it comes to a swim bait. Kind of falls into the same category as this Optimum Baby Boom Boom swim bait that I tend to throw a fair amount. Have been throwing this year. And same goes for like the Megabass 5-inch Spark Shad. Same size bait, just a different action on this guy here. This is going to be a little bit less durable of a soft plastic, quite a bit saltier, and it's going to have more tail kick. So you get a different profile bait and a different action out of the Spark Shad than you do the Magdraft. Like we've talked about before, the Magdraft is a bit more speed sensitive. And so it does have to be swum at like a medium speed retrieve, whereas the Spark Shad can be swum quite a bit slower and still have a fair amount of tail kick to it. So yeah, that 5-inch Magdraft should be pretty sweet. What's up, Matt? How you doing, man? You're right. You're late, but you're right on time. No big deal. 17 minutes in, but I've only opened the one so far. Made a purchase for some JDM lures last week. They were supposed to get here Monday, ended up showing up today. So thought I would open them up with you guys tonight. Kyle says, can you use that Spike It on Z-Man stuff? Not to throw you off topic. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't do it very often, but you can. Only thing is with Z-Man stuff, I would be prepared to toss that bait out when you're done using it, because even more so than other baits, if you combine Z-Man baits with each other, different colors, they will bleed and change the color of the other ones in that package. So I don't think the dye itself is going to melt. The dye or the scent is going to melt the bait. You can scent Z-Man products with some scents, like Procure. They end up soaking some of their saltwater baits in Procure. So I'm pretty sure you can, but I actually don't do that very often. But I would give it a try. Cool thing about these markers is they really don't make nearly the mess that the jars of Spike It and other dye products or scent products do. So, literally you just draw it onto the bait, drop it in the water, put the cap on, and you're good to go. This doesn't make nearly the mess. And you can buy these in, I think, a 2-pack from Discount Tackle for like less than $5. So really cool deal. You can buy them in multiple colors. You can buy them in multiple scents. So both of these are garlic, one in chartreuse, one in orange. And I've also got them in like a crawfish scent, in chartreuse and in black. So sometimes it's nice to be able to put some chartreuse on the tail, put a black dot on a shad type of bait. and also get the benefit of scent at the same time. So check those out, man, for sure. Yeah, Ron, the Stealth Swimmer is expensive, but not overly priced because, like Matt just said, you do get two in a package. Um, so they're like what, $25, or are they pushing $30 for the pack of two? And so, in my opinion, they're a little expensive, but they're worth it because they're different than the Magdraft, right? Um, that name Stealth Swimmer is really appropriate. And as you can see, it's got just a little bit more tail action on it than the Magdraft does. So you can swim this thing just a little bit slower, but the way that it's designed is different. So the magnet is on bottom, but it's got a jig hook inside the bait instead of a treble hook attached to the bottom of the bait. So when you set the hook, it's got that same technology that Catchco has decided to put into their dark sleeper knockoff. I don't even know what it's called, where the hook kind of comes straight up and out. So pretty cool system here. Goes right back into the bait. Stealth Swimmer, in my opinion, is really unique and worth having or trying. And it does have a little a line tie, or I don't know the right word for it, but a deal on the bottom of the bait so that if you wanted, you could attach a split ring and a treble hook there as a little stinger on the bottom of the bait. So the other thing to note is that I'm pretty sure these are different weights, and that you can change out the harness in them if you want. So Matt, help me out with that. I'm not 100% sure at the moment, but one of them is labeled H, I believe, for heavy, and the other one is not labeled that. So I think that they are two separate weights, one being heavier than the other, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, Megabass is not totally unique. Once you start diving into the JDM world, you'll come to realize that that there are a lot of baits that are alike, that we here in the U.S. think are totally unique. In Japan, there's a bunch that are like that. So Matt says, I got every color in those Spike It pens. They're great. I love coloring the gills on my swim baits and the belly. Right on, man. And Matt applies Mend It to the magnet inside of the Stealth Swimmers to make sure that it doesn't fall out, because I saw people complain about that. So I do that. It doesn't happen on those Stealth Swimmers. Yeah, one is heavier than the other. Okay, yeah. So I don't know the exact weights, but you'd be able to find that information out pretty easily, Ron, if you're looking into the baits. Now, let's move on from talking about the Magdraft, although I am pretty pumped about this snack-sized 5-inch Chartreuse back JDM color that I fully intend to put to work very soon on some smallmouth here close to me. So next up, and this was really to just get over the $75 threshold, and so that I could get free shipping, but was a new color of the Jackal Gavacho. And you guys saw me open a handful of these recently in an unboxing, where I got a couple new colors. And yeah, so I've got four of these colors already. Really have my bases covered and don't need any extras. This black gill is arguably my favorite color. The white is pretty standard. but very effective. And then I just really like this Chartreuse gill color because of the Chartreuse on its back. Makes it easy to see, but then it's got that pearlish, silvery, almost shad-like profile. That's going to be just slightly better in clear water and sunny conditions than a straight white. Although I'd throw black a lot of the time in that situation too. And then like a green frog type of pattern. But decided to pick up this one in the gold gill color. And this is a color that tends to be out of stock at a lot of places. And I just noticed that it was in stock and liked what I saw. So I picked it up. However, what you'll see about this is that it's almost the exact same color as the Chartreuse back gill, this gold gill. When you look at the bottom of the bait and the side of the bait, it's pretty much the same, right? I mean, sure, this one has purple. This one has just a little bit more blue. But they're like the same bait. It's just this one doesn't have the Chartreuse on it. So I'm not sure. It does have some gold flake on the top, which I like. And it's got a pink cupped mouth. But I'm going to put this back in the package and consider throwing it in the giveaway that's coming up. Now, I know I am late on posting that giveaway. I just can't make up my mind whether I want it to be more frog related or chatterbait related, because I do have some products that I've been meaning to throw into a giveaway for a while now. Just haven't posted the right content on YouTube about it. I've got a lot of Ned Rig stuff and a lot of chatterbait stuff to give away. So I'm going to give away a bunch of chatterbaits and chatterbait trailers. And then I'm also going to give away a bunch of Ned Rig hooks and Ned Rig baits. But that's beside the point. Did pick up one of the Jackal Gavacho in the gold gill color in this package. So, and then I've got two more baits, two colors of each of these baits. And I'm very, very excited about both of them. So, first up is the Evergreen Soft Shell 77. I've talked about this frog before. And it's I don't want to quite call it a sleeper, but it is potentially underrated and very, very high quality. Now, I only have one of these baits because they tend to be relatively hard to get a hold of. But this is a really cool frog. It's long in profile. It's a full 3 inches long. So it is a pretty big frog. But what you'll notice about it is that it's got this zonker rabbit fur tail on it, which moves super naturally in the water. So I love that. It's got a really good design with the weight almost built into the hook, and it's sealed here. So you're not going to get a lot of issues with water coming into this frog. The hook is just perfectly designed around this body, or vice versa. But this thing is very, very weedless, and yet the body is super collapsible. Okay, very soft body, and best of all is it's got the shower blows cupped face on it. So essentially you get a weedless shower blows that you can work in super heavy cover like you would a frog, and it's just going to be a totally different presentation than most other frogs. This is going to spit and move a lot of water. It's going to walk very uniquely, and it's also going to give off a bigger profile and have that fur tail. So it is a relatively expensive frog, but it's like 16 bucks. It's not outrageous in the bigger scheme of things when it comes to JDM frogs. So I don't know what you're talking about, Ron. What's Lagoria? Lagaria. Am I lagging, dude? Let me know. Is this stream lagging right now? Matt says, I tested out that Nori's Fuca top water that I sent a picture of to you. Yeah, it definitely looked interesting. And it's awesome the way that it looks on the water. Interesting. Yeah, it looks like a rat swimming. Sends out a lateral vibration versus horizontal. I know you said that, but I don't really know what that means. So anyway, looked like a cool bait. What did you call it again? The Nori's Fuca. Fuca. All right, so I got 2 of these soft shell frogs. And this one is in the Moto Chartreuse color. So this is a black frog with some green accents and a chartreuse tip. Absolutely love this color. From the bottom, it is, a black frog with some chartreuse on the head. Really cool color, easy to see from far away. Sometimes I do like chartreuse on the back, like on that that gavacho, just because if it's going to provide a place for the fish to hit, then they're going to hit closer to the hook. However, on this gavacho, the chartreuse is really on the back of the frog, not on the bottom. So on this bait, it is on the bottom and the top, but I don't think that's all that important. What you'll notice is when it comes straight out of the package, this tail is wrapped up in like a plastic bag. So it does need to be fished to kind of open up. But yeah, zonker strip tail. Pretty sweet bait. So got one in the Moto Chartreuse color and got one in the Skeleton Chartreuse color. This is probably what I'm most excited about. Ron, what were you talking about when you said Lagaria, brother? George Foles. Abe, what's up, guys? How you doing tonight? Good to see you in here. You are 32 minutes late, my brother. So, again, I'm only a few baits in, as Matt said. I only picked up a handful of baits anyway. So, I'll show you one more time. I picked up the 5-inch Megabass Magdraft in the chartreuse back color, specifically to target smallmouth here close to me. I picked up one of the Jackal Gavacho frogs in the gold gill color, more so to just get over the price point where shipping became free. So, that was to offset the shipping costs. Instead of spending the money on shipping, decide to spend it on that bait. But the reason that I made the purchase was for these frogs and these baits that I'm about to pull out in a minute. So you didn't miss the good stuff, man. But these frogs are, in my opinion, underrated, not talked about enough, especially for how much the shower blows gets attention, okay? And the Evergreen shower blows, you should already know what it is, but it's a topwater walking bait. And spoiler alert, we're going to talk about it in just a minute. So this color is transparent, shiny, chartreuse back. Love that. And now what you'll notice is that I have my bases covered by having one with a black bottom and a black zonker tail, one with a white bottom and a brown zonker tail, and one with a clear bottom and a white zonker tail. So really kind of got one of everything with this frog. And so pumped to have those. Really got to reorganize my frog box because this thing is already full without all of the gavachos and the caras and now these these soft shells. I might need to have like a JDM frog box, or just kind of continue to take out the frogs that I fish the least. I've already done that once recently. So anyway, don't worry about it, Abe. I saw you on who was streaming earlier tonight? Debo, right? Were you on there? I'm pretty sure you were. Matt says, I love the rabbit for frogs. Reason I use the Buster K a lot, but that shower blows frog is sick. Definitely gonna get some. Yeah, man. I decided to customize one of my frogs with the Zonkers strip as well. And I couldn't really figure out the best way to do it. But, this is the Lunker Hunt Yappa Rat. So it's a frog style bait that is made to be kind of a wake bait that has an interesting, almost crawler-esque action that is to mimic a rat. And it comes with just a single strand of silicone, just like one set of legs instead of two, right? I pulled that out and I did my standard modification that I tend to do, where I will put in a Spro power swivel in and glue it, and then add a split ring. And like on this one, I've added behind the split rings, I've put some owner CPS springs. So essentially this becomes something like a Teckle Sprinkler frog, right? I made this out of a Booyah pad crasher and put on just the tails of some Zoom Ultra Vibe speed worms. And I make those kind of adjustments from time to time. But I do have some Zonker strips that I use for tying flies. And so I wanted to make a tail that was made of Zonkers to go with this frog, but couldn't figure out the best way to attach it to the CPS spring. So I actually put, a flat worm, and I don't know what worm this is. I think it's the Big Bite Baits Smalley Smasher, maybe. I took like half of the body, screwed it on there, and since it's got a flat bottom, I just went ahead and glued the Zonker tail straight onto the bottom of the worm. And I haven't had a chance to fish this just yet, but that sort of idea does pop into my head in terms of making modifications. So Matt says, I don't know how you're able to pick which one because that box is packed. Yeah, you're right, dude. Usually what I do is not bring the entire box with me. I usually just kind of force my own hand in choosing a couple frogs to bring out with me that day. Given the weather conditions and where I'm planning on going, I will predetermine which frogs I'm going to bring with me. And I will only bring a couple of frogs, period, and then just have to make do with what I've got. So I don't bring my entire box of frogs and then just kind of stare at it and sift through it and, freak out over the decision. I just kind of make it easier on myself by only bringing a couple of options with me whenever I go. And same goes for everything, right? If we're talking topwater poppers, this is most of my poppers, but not all of them. And right, like these are all the highest end poppers on the market, right? I've got Megabass Pop Maxes, I've got Labina Rio Ricos in here. Got Don Iovino Splash-Its and Yellow Magic Magnum poppers. I've got Lucky Craft G-Splash, dual hardcore poppers. I've got Evergreen One Bugs in here. And then I've got, you know, a whole range of things from Pop R's to the Strike King poppers to the Berkeley poppers and the Rapala poppers, kind of everything. So, you know, when it comes to most categories of lures, I do have a lot of options, but just like to kind of switch it up from time to time in order to gain confidence in new lures and be able to understand the differences between them, since oftentimes it is a little bit more subtle than you would think. Matt says that almost gives me the Batra X vibes from Megabass. I looked at that recently and can't picture it on top of my head right now. So Batra X. I don't know, man. Okay, last bait that I picked up. Can you tell from the package? I already spoiled it a few moments ago. But this bait was released at ICAST 2021, and it is none other than the Evergreen Shower Blows 77.7. 777. You guys know that I'm a big fan of the Shower Blows. Straight up. I've already got it in all 3 sizes prior to this one. And now I've got the entire line and in the bone color. So I'm probably going to make a post on Instagram in the next couple of days. Not really to flex on people, but more so to just to bring up the topic of walking bait sizes. So this is the Magnum sized Shower Blows 150. This is a giant topwater walking bait. As you can probably tell, it's got a pencil popper shape to it. So it is going to be tail weighted. It's going to sit a little bit tail down, and it's got this cupped face, which allows the bait to walk extremely easily without traveling very far forward. So this bait makes a racket noise-wise and with how much water it moves, spitting and splashing as it's walking. So a lot of baits are a bit more subtle, just as traditional walking baits, right? They're meant to kind of skitter across the surface as you walk them, and they're meant to be fished faster and in order to cover water. But the Shower Blows is a bait that you can work faster, but really excels when you're working it slower around isolated pieces of cover. So the Shower Blows 150 is traditionally perceived as more of like a striper bait because it's so big, you know, 6 inches long, and it weighs something like 1.5 ounces or so, maybe a little bit more than that, but really big bait. And then the Shower Blows 125 is more of your traditional size walking bait with 3 hooks on it. This thing weighs just right at about 1 ounce. You know, if you couldn't tell, these Shower Blows in the bone color have this really cool finish on them. You know, it's a traditional bone color, but on the bottom, it's got a lot of sparkle and a rough finish that's almost sandpaper-esque. And so, as you can see, it's got a ton of shine to it. I don't know why it's not wanting to focus with how much light there is, but anyway, the 125 is a little bit big, but still kind of the ideal size in general. And then as you step down from the 125, you get the, what, 95? 105. Shower blows, SB 105. Yeah, Matthew, you know it's beautiful. Sparkles, baby. Of course, you can't see it in this light, and I apologize. You'll just have to see it in my photos on Instagram. But it gives off a lot of shine and some texture as well. Now, before this new bait came out, I thought the 105 size felt small. And it's very unique that it still has 3 treble hooks on it, considering it is that Super Spook Junior, Sexy Dog Junior type of size. So other baits of its size are almost always going to have 2 hooks, not 3. Some of them are going to be just a hair smaller. Like this is the Sexy Dog Junior, which you can see it's probably just a little bit shorter, closer to a 90, 95 size than the 105. But it's got 2 hooks, and that's more traditionally what you're going to see in a 4-inch bait. Now, of course, the sound is going to be a little bit more subdued. You get a higher pitch. That 125. A little more pronounced. And that 150 is loud. Okay. Now, as you step down to the 77.7, this thing is a little guy. Gosh, there was some thumping upstairs, and that makes me nervous. I don't know if it was one of my kids coming downstairs, or if something happened with my son, or if it's my dog. But just going to have to keep my ear out a little bit. So, oh, what a little cutie. So this thing is, as you would expect, 77 millimeters long, right at 3 inches. But it weighs 11/32 of an ounce, 9 grams, so a little over a quarter ounce, kind of like a 5/16. And this guy is cute. When you compare side to side with the 105, I mean, this thing is tiny, really, really small guy. But that's awesome. Ow. And the hooks that come on these things are good. So me holding all of these in the same hand is not going to turn out well for me. I'm going to hurt myself. But look at the size differences here. And I've lined up the bottoms of these baits. So you really get tiny, small, medium, and large. And I find that cool. Now, I also picked it up in that same Chartreuse, the skeleton Chartreuse color. Same color that I just showed you in the soft shell frog. That is this clear shadish type of color with a Chartreuse top to it. Oh my goodness, it's just so small. What a beaut. That light is too harsh for it. You just won't be able to see that finish on the bottom. A little bit on the orange there, but not on the white part. And then as you can see, you get a lot of shine and flash from the side of the bait there. More of a natural color head, although you get some orange on the belly. and then that entire chartreuse back. So really like this color, and I don't think I have any of those in any of the other sizes. You know, I've got a range of different colors in the shower blows. I'm not going to fish through all my stuff, my entire box, because what's going to happen is I'm going to start pulling out a bunch of other baits. Like these kick knockers from Teckle don't have any protection on the hooks. You know, I like to use little rubber bands, kids' hair ties rather, that I mostly just steal from my daughters. But I've got these baits in straight clear. I've got them in bluegill patterns. And I've got them in more of like a flashy, like mirror wakasagi type of color. So I'm a big shower blows guy, and really happy to get my hands on some of the new 77.7 size shower blows, since they were just released a couple of weeks ago and are really not yet available at many places. So you'd probably be able to find this if you looked for a few minutes, and that's what I did just a week or two ago, and decided to pull the trigger once I kind of peeked around at what else was on the site, found a couple of these soft shell frogs that were in stock in colors that I found to be desirable, and only had to add one or two more things to my cart in order to be satisfied and get a good deal. And so I did just that in the small 5-inch Magdraft, which is a little bit more of a rarity, especially in that JDM color. And then the Gavacho in that gold gill color, which I didn't have any of, but was curious about. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that bait at the moment. So have you guys just not been commenting for like going on 10 minutes? Just letting me talk? Matt says, that tiny one looks killer. Can't wait to get some because I like small walking baits. I don't know why. I love the Megabass Kauai Dog X Jr. That bait walks so nice for being so small. Weighs a lot for being so tiny. Yeah, as I've mentioned in a previous stream, that bait had gotten my attention, especially after, you know, Ben from the Hookup was talking about it, showed it in the pool. That thing has such a smooth, fast walking action. Looks beautiful in the water, but again, it's such a rare bait that that I ultimately opted out of buying it. Now, the Shower Blow 77 is going to be widely available in the next couple of months. So my guess is that Discount Tackle will have it available, and it will be cheaper than what I paid for it once it is available. Now, just like you find with a lot of other new baits that hit the market, it will probably sell out within a few days or a week or two of becoming in stock at Discount Tackle. And sometimes they're not on their A game in terms of getting baits back in stock. So, for example, I bought this soft shell frog from Discount Tackle like a year ago. Got a good deal on it, but gradually all the other colors have gone out of stock, and they have not restocked that bait in quite some time. So that's kind of why I felt the need to go out of my way to grab a couple colors of the soft shell frog while I was at it, if I was going to pull the trigger and get the new 777, which I was very interested in anyway. So I will keep you guys posted about the action of it. I will probably take it for a spin this upcoming week, but I will let you know. Riley Belden in the house. What's up, Riley? Doing pretty well. Thank you very much. Yep. The son and the wife and the daughters, everybody's doing well. Thank you very much for asking. My baby boy's got a tooth coming in. He's 5 months old today, and a little bit uncomfortable because of that tooth, as you would imagine. So, you know, he's just biting on a whole bunch of stuff. He's drooling, and he's just a little bit more irritable in general. So that's part of parenting, and it's actually kind of fun. So, um, Riley, that's Ron, not Justin, and you know that. Um, that says, and it's the only walking bait I know of that sinks slowly, as well as the Dog X Junior. I did not know that. The Kawaii is a sinking walking bait. I mean, I guess I'm not totally surprised since it is so heavy for its size. But that's kind of fascinating to hear, um, that it's a sinking walking bait, huh? Now, of course, I've turned some of my frog modifications into sinking frogs, which tends to be a fail more than anything because I like to use heavier duty. I like to match up, um, that swivel with the size of the hole, and they tend to be heavier duty of swivels. So even if I'm using lighter split rings and not the pro or the Spro power swivels, or power split rings that I prefer to use on a lot of my baits if I'm not using owner split rings, the hyper wires. Um, it tends to weigh a bait down. So if I'm making a modification like this, and instead of throwing soft plastic tails, I use blades, which I do like to try and do. I just find that it often makes the bait sink, and unfortunately, that's part of the game. Um, like a dying minnow, dude. How often do you fish that kawaii on a dead stick retrieve, or kill it, um, in the middle of walking it and let it slow sink down? That gets me curious. And had I known that, I very well have might have picked that up, dude. That's wild. Ron says, "Well, that's what I get for changing my username." Yeah, Bassless Chap is Ron Holly. Used to be called Ron Holly, but thought he would be, funny and more appropriate by changing his name to Bassless Chap, since that's what he is. Kind of like Abe, Ron has gotten the bug for bass fishing and not yet caught a bass, which I think is both funny and awesome at the same time. Ron consumes a lot of content, he buys a lot of gear, and is learning as much as he can, just like the rest of us, but just hasn't had the opportunity to get out on the water and catch a bass just yet. And most of that is because he was living in California this past year when he really got the bug. And by the bug, I don't mean COVID, but I mean addicted to bass fishing. And California was shut down. One, because of COVID, two, because of wildfires. It's just been kind of a disaster. And Ron is in the process of moving cross country to Rhode Island, but has a place in Idaho. Just has mostly been acquiring gear and is about to get rolling out in Rhode Island, end of this year, definitely next year, and should be able to change his name from Bassless Chap to something else. Maybe back to Ron Holly, or maybe something cooler. So who knows? And Ron says, "Hey, I'm vaccinated." I'm vaccinated too, and I hope a lot of other people in here are as well. But yeah, I'm glad that you are, man. Um, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean that it was legal last year to go out into public in California. They locked your asses down, more so than really anywhere else. You know what I mean? George with the thumbs up. I assume and hope that you're vaccinated as well. Yeah, I got vaccinated myself a couple months ago. So did my wife and the rest of my close family and most of our friends as well. Um, it becomes a tricky thing as a parent of young children. right? We've got 3 kids under the age of 6, one of which is an infant. And it's just a whole lot more complicated when you're responsible for more than just yourself. And yeah, it's a scary thing. We're sending 2 of our kids to school here in the next week, 2 weeks, and just kind of got to roll the dice. We made that decision months ago that regardless of whether they were eligible or could be vaccinated, that we're just going to kind of let it happen. And here we are with the freaking Delta variant rolling around, and our school district here, where I live in southeast Denver, um, has chosen to not mandate mask wearing for children in schools, which, in my opinion, is a little bit reckless, but it is what it is. So our kids will be wearing masks to school, and they have no issues with it, which is great. They've gotten totally used to wearing masks when in public, when socializing with other kids, things like that. So, uh, of course, they don't always wear masks. If we're walking around the neighborhood and going to the playground and stuff like that, if we're visiting family or friends who are also vaccinated, they're not wearing masks. But still, we've taken real calculated risks thus far when it comes to COVID, and I wish it were in the rearview mirror, but unfortunately, it's not yet. And Abe says he's going to change his name from Cool Granddaddy Sweets Forever to Cool Granddaddy Sweets Bassmaster. Right on, dude. Riley says, "Man, your streams are like movies, addictive and interesting. I think everyone needs some popcorn." Well, I'm sorry to get a little bit dramatic and even political the last couple of minutes talking about COVID and vaccines and stuff, but feel free to throw any questions that you might have about fishing, about baits, about gear, about anything else, um, or just about life in general. I'll be on for probably another 10 minutes or so. I am literally on like my last sip of bourbon, and I can feel that I'm going to need to pee in the next 10 minutes or so. Plus, we've been on for an hour and 2 minutes. So let me just make sure that I'm caught up on comments, and let's just keep the conversation flowing for a few more minutes. Matt says, "I have a natural immunity to COVID. I don't know how, but I just don't get it because I've been around people who are sick and didn't get it, never got sick, but I don't push it. I stay away from crowded places." Yeah, don't get overly confident, man. Ron says, "I just told everyone that I was related to Gavin Newsom. Got to do what I wanted. Got to do what I wanted." That's hilarious. COVID's getting very bad. We're at the top right now to a possible lockdown. Yeah, it would be interesting if that happens, Riley. Riley, did I see that a few minutes ago you threw a 99 cent and now you're throwing another one? Man, didn't you throw me $2 last night? $2 again tonight? What are you doing, Riley? Thank you very, very much. If you keep this kind of business up, I'm going to need to send you another care package. Um, because while I really do appreciate the money, I don't ask for it. I don't need it. Um, it's great, and it makes me feel good inside. So thank you for the donation. But it almost does make me feel a little bit guilty. It makes me want to ask you what you've got your eye on, what you might be interested in, and just send you a little package to give back uh, for donating. So anyway, thank you, Riley. Appreciate you. Yeah, I hope we don't have to go through lockdowns again, but unfortunately, not enough people are vaccinated yet. Not enough people have gotten vaccinated, even though they have the option. And herd immunity is something that needs to happen. And it's a little bit embarrassing that our country has not gotten there yet, despite the wide availability of the vaccine. I don't know why it comes down to being a political thing. The science is proven, and while the vaccine is not FDA approved, um, there is enough information and enough science out there to prove that everybody ought to be getting the vaccine, whether it's for themselves or for others. There is no risk of it being less safe than not getting the vaccine. Um, and again, that's my opinion, but I see it as pretty much fact. So um, it is what it is. Popcorn's on Riley. You're right, Ron. Matt says because people just keep going places where you're closer than 6 feet, just causing a major issue for other people. Agreed. Even here in Colorado, people are going to Red Rocks Amphitheater, going to concerts. Um, People are going to ball games and things like that. Just super busy areas that do not have any regulations anymore, and really causing issues. And like my brother invited me to go to a water park yesterday with him and his wife and their daughter, um, my niece, my goddaughter. I would love to do that kind of thing ordinarily, but now's not the time. You know what I mean? Going to a water park packed full of unvaccinated kids is just not a smart move in my mind, at least for the risks that we take as a family and the situations that I put my unvaccinated children in. So, not trying to get them COVID at the moment. Abe says, my wife and daughter are nurses and gave it to me twice, but I'm fine now. Um, Long haul affects me with smell, but I'm made of everything. COVID loves, um, but great in. So all nurses saved me. Interesting. Dude, that is brutal. My wife is a nurse and has not gotten COVID, mostly because she's on a protected unit. She works in the neonatal intensive care unit, working with premature babies, and it's a locked off unit. And so, really, she's only exposed to the other nurses that she works alongside, and she works the night shift. And so, oftentimes, the babies that she's taking care of, the parents of those babies are only there sometimes. Um, Most of those parents come visit during the day, but do not stay the night. So she's not in contact with a lot of her patients' parents. Um, and so it's really just the other nurses that she's around, and they wear masks at work. So not a real issue. Riley says, LOL, I'm just doing it to do it. Don't need to feel guilty. Just a fellow fishing buddy. Everyone can understand. Um, Now that's just two, not three, right? I'm caught up on comments. All right. Well, thank you very much for the donations, Riley. I super appreciate you. There's only four people in here right now. I hope I didn't scare people away talking about COVID for a few minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if I became more outspoken and it caused me to lose subscribers or lose followers on Instagram and YouTube simply because a lot of the fishing community is super conservative. Um, and you know what? Probably unvaccinated. So, me telling you guys that I believe everybody should be vaccinated who is given the option to, um, is just going to piss people off. But it is what it is. I, again, prefer not to be political. Try not to go down that route of speaking my mind on my personal beliefs, my political beliefs. I like to keep things to fishing. Um, so sorry if you're watching and you're offended. Um, Not trying to bother you. That's not my intention. Just kind of explaining where I'm coming from, what it is that I believe. If you choose to not get vaccinated, that is your choice. I'm not going to disown you or dislike you for that reason. So I would hope that you wouldn't do. the opposite to me. Just for speaking my mind, I would hope that you wouldn't unfollow or unsubscribe this channel. You especially, Matt. George, I appreciate the fact that it doesn't bother you. Ron, appreciate it. Abe says, stay true to yourself, brother. If they don't like them, then F them. I agree with that, man. And Matt says, hey, man, I don't care that that's your opinion. You're entitled to speak. I'm here for fishing, chatting, and anything that comes to mind. Right on, guys. Really, really appreciate you. Now it says 7 people are in here. I don't know who's in here, but I'm going to take this last sip of bourbon and leave it up to you guys to ask, say, one random question, one final question. Could be personal, could be about fishing. Doesn't matter what it is. And we'll chat for a couple more minutes, and I will get out of here. Riley says it's your channel, so if people don't like it for your political reasons, then it's their problem. Speak the truth. It doesn't bother me. I'm here for fishing and here to support. Well, thank you very much, Riley. Again, I know everybody's here for fishing, myself included, so I apologize for getting into a COVID discussion. That was not my intention in the first place. So one last thing you guys want to talk about. I don't know how there's 10 people in here now. Why everybody's jumping in all of a sudden after that discussion. There's 8 thumbs up. Do me a quick solid. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. And unfortunately, I'm going to dip out of here in 1 second. Riley says, what's your go-to Bass Pro order? Good question, because Bass Pro varies from location to location. We've got 2 here in the Denver metro area. Actually, 1 Bass Pro on the north side of Denver, 1 Cabela's here very close to my house on the south side of Denver. And then we've got a Bass Pro about 45 minutes south of me, closer to Colorado Springs. So I prefer to shop at Bass Pro and Cabela's in person than online. But I don't really have a go-to order necessarily. I find that I do buy the Megabass Magdrafts and the Savage Gear, like 3D and 4D craws from Bass Pro. And I buy a fair amount of Berkley Max Scent products. And then also I buy some of the Bass Pro Sticko soft plastics and some of the Yum dingers. And occasionally I'll buy some Strike King Rage Tail products. For a while I was on kind of a kick of Rapala baits because our Bass Pro on the north side of Denver carries a very wide selection of Rapala baits, especially the DT series. When I was trying to stock up on those, there was a lot of good options. So, Bass Pro is a good place to shop, but in my opinion, if you're shopping online, Discount Tackle is usually going to be a better place to shop, just because I prefer to support a smaller business and save a little bit of money in the process. George says, do you use super glue on leader knots? No, I do not. Nope. Very rarely do I do that. I find that it's just not usually an issue. Ron says, if you could only use one color, what would it be? Green pumpkin chartreuse. Would probably be it. And I know that's a boring and very common answer, but I hate to say it. If I could only use one color, it's going to be the boring old green pumpkin. Not in focus. And Abe says, when I get this kayak done, do I cast upstream or downstream? Great question, dude. you are going to cast upstream and bring your bait downstream because the fish are going to be facing upstream. Um, so if you're fishing in current, fish like to position themselves against the current, especially predatory species. So bugs, sediment, and bait fish will come downstream, and the predatory fish can feed on them as they're coming by. So you want to cast upstream and let your bait come downstream. Yeah, no, if you're kayak fishing, it's a little bit trickier, right? It depends on how strong the current is. I river fish, to be honest with you. So, um, if you're fishing in a body of water where you can control how fast your kayak is moving, then I think Matt has a decent point. Um, that positioning of the kayak matters, but you do need to think about how you present your bait to the fish. And so having it swim by them is, you're less likely to get bites if they're facing into the current and it swims past them. They're usually not going to chase to eat something. They're more so looking to come out and ambush something. So oftentimes the fish will be, um, just off of where the current is flowing, and they will come in and grab something as it's swimming with the current. So that's at least in my experience, primarily with fly fishing, but also in general. So I wouldn't throw as many moving baits, right? If you're fishing in current, you're going to want to fish something that is bumping the bottom because most of those fish are going to be positioned and or fishing close to the bottom if they're not fishing on top. You're not going to get a lot of them suspended in the middle. So Riley says she's going to dip out of here. Hope everyone stays safe, their family as well. Thank you so much, Riley. Good to see you in here. Have a great rest of your night as well. And yes, Abe's going to have an anchor. Good idea, man. What was your thought on the new K9 color? Wanted to hear your thoughts on it in person. Can't wait to use it. Got that for more clear waters near me. Yep, absolutely. That color was super clear with just a little bit of a green um, like shine to it, right? So it's going to be a little bit color changing in the sun and in clear water. So definitely a clear water presentation, but also one that I would fish faster than other colors. Um, it's one that the fish are not going to be able to see as well and not going to track. So they're going to have to make a quicker decision on it. They're just going to feel it with their lateral lines. They're going to feel the presence of that bait or barely see it moving, but it's going to imitate a bait fish that is much more clear in nature, much more transparent. So it's kind of a much more quick decision making process for the fish than a thorough investigation and an inspection of the profile and the color. They're not going to be able to make that out. So it's one that I would work quicker and more erratic as you're fishing the bait in clear water. And that's just me. But definitely looks like a cool color. Um, Almost a clear water exclusive color, though you could fish it around, um, when top water would be good, early morning, um, or later in the evening when you've got low light conditions and fish it a little bit slower then. But if you're fishing it in high sun and clear water, I would go quicker on it. It says, yeah, it's got a pearlescent turquoise greenish flash and then has black glitter spotted all over the blade, or splotted all over the bait. But does almost go solid in certain angles. Thanks for the tip. No problem, man. Ron Holly is Justin still. I guess Riley never heard me when I corrected her and told her that Bassless Chap is Ron frickin' Holly. Ron, I guess you're just going to be Justin. All right. We've already got a few Justins in here. Justin Hamilton, No Diggity is Justin, and Pickle Throat is Justin. So whatever, Ron, you be a Justin. All right, man. Welcome to the Justin Club. All right, guys. On that note, to all of you Justins watching this video, and all of you not Justins, consider yourself Justins. And thank you so much for watching this video. I am pretty pumped about these baits right here. If you haven't already picked up some soft shell frogs or some shower blow 77s, you might have to hunt for them. But please do yourself a favor and do that. You know, they're about 16 bucks a pop and they're worth it. I can't say that for certain with the 77 because I have not fished it just yet. And it does only have 2 hooks instead of 3, but it's a small bait. It's like the same size as the Pop Max popper. It's a small bait and it's awesome. I'm pumped to use it. Going to get on the water and use it soon. All of Evergreen's baits are super unique, super high quality, and yeah, I'm excited to have them. So thank you guys for hanging out tonight. It's been an hour and 22 minutes. My pleasure, guys. Matt, Abe, Ron, Justin. Have a great rest of your night. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.